Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal rock and prog music. And this is New Music Picks 2026. I'm going to talk about 6 albums that came out over the past week. Some of them are EPs, one's a compilation. Then I'll give my quick first impressions of them, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference, starting with Erra and their album Silence Outlives the Earth. This is the 7th album by this American band. It's progressive melodic metalcore with djent and alternative metal influences. And I'm putting this in my excellent tier. It was almost on the border between very good and excellent, but maybe just squeaked out an excellent. And I think everything they've done in their career is excellent, and they have the potential to make a near masterpiece with their abilities. Their all the players in the band are amazing. The vocals are good, really solid, catchy. They can write memorable hooks, great riffs, but they never quite get there to that near masterpiece level for me. And my criticism of them is that it all kind of starts to sound a bit samey, and they don't do anything too adventurous. So I was hoping they'd take some risks here. The singles I heard ahead of the album uh, are excellent, but it sounds like their usual sound: Gore of Being, Further Eden, and The Many Names of God. Then the whole album continues their typical mix of melodic vocals and harsh vocals with rhythmic, heavy, djenty metalcore riffs and somewhat technical lead guitars from time to time, but nothing too mind-blowing, too unique, or progressive or out there. What they do, though, they do really well. Some of the melodic hooks could compete with stadium rock bands, and some of the djenty riffs are reminiscent of Periphery and Meshuggah. So check it out if you want to hear a mix of those djenty riffs and harshness with stadium rock level catchiness. I think it's a pretty easy entry point for people who like more radio rock into the kind of progressive metalcore djent sound. So it could be a good gateway band. So if that sounds good to you, check out Silence Outlives the Earth by Erra. Next up, I'll talk about an EP from the band Moontooth called Bastard. And this is an American progressive metal band. Moontooth has some alternative metal, hard rock, and even stoner rock influences too. I'm putting this in my very good tier. I thought their third album, Phototroph from 2022, was excellent. I was hoping this could be equally good or maybe even better, and the singles I heard were amazing: Eyes and Trudge, and the whole EP continues that high level of quality and leaves me wanting more. I'd actually probably give this excellent tier as well if it was a full album of this quality, but since it's so short, I'm just going to have to go with very good. It's over before it even begins, so it's hard for it to leave as much of an impact. I only just wish that they made a full-length album of this quality. I'd probably prefer it to the Erra release that I talked about first. But again, so short, hard to have that staying power and impact when it's so short. Next up, I'm going to talk about a compilation album called Help 2 that I'm putting in my very good tier. This features many artists from many different nations around the world doing indie rock, progressive rock, electronic, hard rock, pop, various genres. And it features a stellar cast of musicians. It's inspired by the landmark 1995 charity release Help that raised funds for the War Child charity, which provides aid to war-stricken areas. And that original album from 1995, Help, featured Paul McCartney, Radiohead, Oasis, and more. This Help 2 album is made under the stewardship of acclaimed producer James Ford, and it features contributions from Black Country New Road, The Last Dinner Party, Arctic Monkeys, Depeche Mode, Olivia Rodrigo, and more. 23 tracks over 4 sides of vinyl. And all proceeds support War Child UK, who work in the most dangerous places in the world to get children life-saving supplies and mental health first aid they so desperately need. So it's for a good cause. The album is pretty long. It's 86 minutes and 30 seconds long, so it's like a double album, double vinyl. But you get a lot of great variety here of artists and styles. I'm happy to say that nothing on here is bad, so it was actually a nice listen from start to finish. I didn't know all the artists that were featured on it. I'm not familiar with all of them. Not everything is my style, but there were pleasantly, surprisingly good tracks, even from some of the artists I'm not familiar with. And I always like, there's nothing bad. There were some tracks that were just kind of okay or whatever, but there's nothing that uh, made me want to skip. And I always like anything by Black Country New Rose, so that's my main pick here. But the Last Dinner Party are also very good here. Arctic Monkeys track was solid, but nothing surprising or anything really great that I'd want to keep going back to. Depeche Mode brought some great electronic sounds, and the Olivia Rodrigo track is good. So check it out, even if you only know like a few of the artists on here, because you might be pleasantly surprised by some that you don't know as well. So that's Help 2, a compilation album for Warchild UK. Now I've got a couple EPs that I'm putting in my good tier here. SatchVai Dancing by Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. It's mostly instrumental hard rock, but it's 3 tracks, and one of the tracks features vocals. Kind of has some progressive rock influence, but it's really just an EP by these 2 American guitar virtuosos that focus on their guitar playing. And the track Dancing is actually a very danceable shred guitar song that gives me some Latin, Caribbean, Central American, South American kind of vibe for some reason. Not sure if that's just me or the rhythm of it or something. The second track, I Want to Play My Guitar, features vocals from Glenn Hughes, who sounds amazing at his age. I forget how old he is, but I think he's getting up there, and he still sounds really great. And if it was a full album of this quality, I'd probably go with very good, possibly even excellent tier, but it, again, is so short, like I mentioned with the Moontooth release. This one's really short. It's only 13 minutes long. So I'm just going to go with good. It's hard for it to leave an impact. I'm, obviously impressed by their skills on guitar, and like the songs are groovy, but then it's just over before it begins. So, I'd almost like it to be a full length album from these 2. Although I kind of prefer Steve Vai on his own. I prefer him over Joe Satriani. I think he is a little bit weirder and pushes the boundaries a bit more. So I kind of just would prefer to have a Steve Vai solo album, I think. And last one up, or no, I've got 2 more on my list today. So put that in my good tier. Second last one is an EP by Blackbraid called Nocturnal Boom. It's atmospheric melodic black metal with folk and indigenous music influences from the US. Putting it in my good tier as well. Blackbraid is a one-man black metal project created by John Krieger, and I thought their second and third albums were very good. I was hoping this could be even better, and this is more of the same from them. It's a short release, so not too much here. I like when they bust out the acoustic guitar stuff. If this was a full length, I'd probably have it in very good as well, but another one, very short, leaves me wanting more. So I'm going with good tier. That's kind of a theme for today's video. Really, Erra and Help 2 are the only full length releases I'm talking about today. Everything else is kind of short, interesting, but not a super lasting impact for me. And the last one's kind of like that too. Actually, maybe it's a bit longer, this last one. It's by Andy Edwards and Martin Speake, and it's a tribute to Charlie Parker. It's a instrumental jazz fusion album. I'm putting in my good tier as well. And it's just a solid set of drum and saxophone duets. Just 4 tracks. And I don't really know much about the jazz world or Charlie Parker, but I checked it out because I love watching Andy's YouTube channel from time to time. And some of the bands that he was in a while back, like Frost and IQ, I think are great. So from time to time, if he's putting out these solo or duo releases on his Bandcamp. I might just check them out every now and then. So I decided to check it out of curiosity. And, it's pleasant while it's on. It's not a style. Like, I prefer music with vocals. So there's that. And, I prefer music with guitars. I'm being a guitar player myself. So this is just saxophone and drums. Of course, they're both great players. Andy Edwards and Martin Speake, they perform amazingly well, and it's very pleasant while it's on. I guess it's just not really my style. So just putting it in my good tier because I can recognize it's good. Probably won't listen to it much after this video. And that's it for my first impressions on these 6 releases that came out over the last week. What do you think of these? Let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also, let me know. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay on the loop when I post new videos. I will be giving my first impressions in about a week's time on a new live release from Dream Theater and new full-length albums from Lamb of God, Gong, Major Parkinson, Soft Machine, and Awar. So stay tuned for that, and peace out.